Hi, folks. This is a legislative update for the week, right before Memorial Day weekend. So we'll start out with reconciliation. The Senate's supposed to be have been working on So reconciliation is the package that we're putting together to fund immigration and customs enforcement and border patrol, because those things were left out of the last funding package. So we have to fund them some other way, and the only way we can do it is through reconciliation, because quite frankly, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle refuse to vote for funding for either one of those organizations. So unfortunately, they didn't get it done, and now they have left. And so we won't be able to complete that. That's why essentially we're here. One of the big reasons we're here this week is to get that funding done so that ICE agents and Border Patrol agents can be paid. So that won't happen now until after the holiday. So I'm not sure where I'll be on it because I don't know what the bill looks like. There were all kinds of other considerations in there, and they haven't passed anything. So we're waiting on the Senate. All right. We did what's called the Surface Transportation Bill markup. So surface, think about rails, think about highways, and all kinds of things that are germane to those, that are applicable to highways, rail, et cetera, everything on the surface, that transportation funding bill, transit. Unfortunately, they did what's called a four corners deal. So they made a deal, the chairman of the committee and the ranking member, that's the minority member in the House, and the chairman of the committee and the ranking member in the Senate came together and they decided this is what the bill's going to be. And so even though I had, 25 or 30 amendments on the bill, none of them are, seen as germane because they violate the spirit of the agreement between these four members. With all due respect to that process, I came to participate and represent the people of my district. And so if you're going to make the agreement before I even walk in the door and then just do amendments as lip service, so you can get an amendment, but it's not going to pass, because they already have an agreement, then it's not much of an exercise to me in actually doing anything. So it's $580 billion, which is a lot of money. The good news is that Pennsylvania's bridges will actually get some more money, and we need some of that stuff, obviously. But I just think that's a terrible process. And so at the end, I'll end up voting no on the overall bill because you want your amendments to be real and to be actually considered, which they were not. So that's that. We also did a housing bill. The House had already done a housing bill. We sent it to the Senate. They didn't take it up. They sent us theirs, which was quite honestly terrible. It was a terrible bill. The other thing is that on the housing bill that we sent to the Senate, we sent a ban on central bank digital currency. And what that is, if you don't know, we want to make sure that the federal government doesn't create like your dollar, but digitally, so that you can't hand a dollar to somebody and they would take it. It's all done maybe over your phone or over a computer. It's digital. And the reason that societies and countries like the digital currency is then they control every bit of money that you spend on anything you spend it on. And in America, I don't think that that's appropriate. We shouldn't have the government determining if we can spend money, how much, for what. And so we want them to say for sure that they're not going to have a central bank digital currency, which would be the ultimate spying and coercion tool on the planet. And we sent that over in the housing bill, which they didn't even take up. And the bill that they sent us to vote on essentially green lights the central bank digital currency in 5 years. Well, I'm not voting for a central bank digital currency. I just don't think that the American people want that. I don't think you need the federal government determining what you can spend your money on, how much you're allowed to spend or any of that kind of stuff. And so until we get that central bank digital currency thing together, the housing bill was slightly improved from the original Senate version. But I'm not going to greenlight a central bank digital currency. And then finally, we did get passed out of committee the Roads Act, which involves Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is considering a congestion tax, much like New York City. So if you drove to Washington, D.C. to visit your nation's capital, you would likely have to pay an additional tax to drive on some of the roads in DC based on congestion. We don't want Washington, D.C. taxing not only the people that want to come into the city and need to come into the city and work, but also the people that come around from around the nation to visit their nation's capital on a limited budget and then have to pay congestion pricing just to drive around the city. And so, we passed that bill in the Oversight Committee. It will now have to come to the floor for vote, and we'll see when that happens. So, unfortunately, that's the update. And I say unfortunately because we're really hoping to get this reconciliation done this week before the end of the month, but it's just not going to happen because the Senate has closed up shop. In the meantime, I just want just to make a note that it is Memorial Day. I know that there are a lot of sales going on and a lot of barbecues and cookouts and spending time with your family, which is awesome. But I just hope you will take a moment to remember what this day is about. It is about the service members in uniform who died for our nation and the ideas and ideals of our nation. And that is what this weekend, this holiday weekend is about. So I hope you will just take a moment, pray for them, pray for their families, and pray to God and thank Him for the wonderful country of freedom that we get to live in because somebody was willing to put their life on the line and pay with the last full measure of devotion to our republic. So I hope you will think about it in those terms, and I hope you will have a meaningful and impactful Memorial Day. Till next time, God bless you.